In this video, I'm going to discuss integers. And I never thought I'd have to do this, but since so many people don't know so many of these mathematical terms, I decided to go ahead and do this. Alright. An integer is a number that does not have a fraction as part of its answer or has a decimal point. The number 5 is an integer. Notice there's no fraction here, there's no decimal point, nothing. It's just 5. That's an integer. This is not. Why? Because you have 6 3/4. Well, that's a fractional part of this whole thing. Well, 6 3/4 is not an integer because of the 3/4. The final one here, we have 2.875. Well, that 0.875 is a decimal part of an answer. So, this answer, this whole thing, is not an integer. Now, you may also say that the 6 up here and the 2 down here in itself both are integers, and you would be correct. As long as you don't include the 3/4 and you don't include the 875 here or the decimal point, you got integers. 5, 6, and 2, let me do this again, 5, 6, and 2 are integers in themselves, but 6 3/4 and 2.875 is not, because the 3/4 is a fraction, and if a number has a fraction part, it's not an integer. And if a number has a decimal part, it's not an integer. And hopefully you got that all straight. If a number you present has a fraction as part of it, or a decimal point that's part of it, it is not an integer. But if there are no decimal points and there are no fractions on a number, then it is an integer. And it doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative, as long as it doesn't have a fraction and it doesn't have a decimal point, it's an integer. I'll tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.